All right, video 2. These are 5 good habits. And these aren't the 5 best, just like the last video weren't the 5 worst. These are just the 5, I don't know, like most common or most um, relevant that I've found for most. So, the first one I've noticed is people who practice regular hygiene. And a lot of these are going to be like, yeah, okay, these aren't magical. If you say so, practicing hygiene is wild for spiritual power and potential. When you are brushing your teeth, rinsing out all of the negative things that you've ever said for yourself or other people that that is weighing on your soul. You might have gotten in an argument with your mom or your dad or your brother or sister or a loved one or a child of yours or someone else's, and it weighs on your soul, so to speak, or that you shouldn't have done it, and you want to sort of banish the habit or proclivity to do things like that. Literally, like, not only are you magically rinsing your mouth, but you are psychologically reinstituting that, hey, that wasn't good, I don't like that. When you are in the bath or the shower or in the lake, someone asked me if I bathed in the lake the other day. I digress. Maybe I do. What of it? Whenever you're cleansing, like astrally, etherically, psychologically, cleanse physically as well, washing off all of the things that have been done to you that you don't like, rinsing all of the things that you've done to other people, right? I've also found that there's a direct relationship between negative energy and the feet, especially we can relate the fingers and the hands to the Sephiroth, then we can relate the feet and the toes to the Qliphoth or the Qliphoth. There are a lot of traditions that talk about, like foot powders and like cattle spikes. I forget what those called. Anyway, things like that. But scientifically, there are a lot of pores on the bottom of your feet, and they are large pores. So that's something to consider. What else about hygiene? Flossing. When I floss, I will tend to either work from the center in a counterclockwise manner, or I will just go left and then outward from the center, and then outward from the center, outward from the center. The teeth and the things that get stuck between them, those of you who are a little more magically and astrally and perhaps etherically inclined can probably sense things like the bacteria in your mouth. Well, fucking floss. And also another thing, a mouthwash. I've noticed gargling with mouthwash gets a lot of the phlegm and shit out of the back of my throat, and it makes it easier to vibrate and intone and drop my pitch down into my diaphragm. So, hygiene, super crucial. And you can also, the soaps, fuck it, this is fun. The soaps that I use, I have a black, white, and green bar of soap that is made of, it is infused with juniper and birch. So, like, if I were to do, like, a blessing bath, or, like, a sort of, I don't know, something that begins with S and is happy shower. That's part of what I mean about alliterations can be a trap when you get obsessed with them. So, yeah, juniper birch soap, even more magical. You could have an all-black bar of soap that is like myrrh, and that can be banishing and cleansing. Or tobacco can be there are tobacco-infused soaps that actually smell very good, and tobacco is very strong at banishing and things like that. So, yeah, your hygiene can become very magical. There is a certain type of oil that I put on my ears for my gauges. There's another correspondence. Moving on. Exercise. Yep, most of you are probably not exercising enough. I don't exercise enough. I could definitely exercise more. I do exercise, but probably not enough. This at least increases prana, chi, circulation, things like that. If not, also disciplines your will, makes you stronger, brings in vital forces, and it also increases your respiration, okay? Your ability to re-spirit yourself. That's crucial. Exercise is also good because it teaches you how to break things in a beneficial manner and then put them back together at the goof level, or the gyuv level, which is the, Kabbalistically speaking, there are at least 4 parts of us from like a soul perspective. You've heard of like the neshama and stuff like that, the nefesh. There is a body soul that is called the goof, or the gyup, or the gyuv. There's different pronunciations for it. This is one reason why the name goofy exists, probably. Someone that is only using their body intelligence. And what this intelligence is, this is the intelligence that tells your heart how hard to beat, and how hard to pull the blood back in so that your eyeballs don't pop out or get sucked out of your skull. It's the part of your body that says, white blood cells over there, white blood cells over there, take care of this infection. It's the one that tells your bone marrow how much, you get the idea. You're training a connection with the lower parts of your intelligence when you're exercising and doing physical things in a spiritual manner. Another thing that you can do, when I used to go to the gym and I would ride a bike, I would do like the bike machine or whatever. I would do, I'm not sure if it matters how much I would do. I would do enough that I could imagine that I was on like a mountain trail. And that would really immerse me, because what was in front of me was a bunch of TVs with fast food commercials and Fox News, and it was CBS over here, and just that's not. So I would just close my eyes, I'd put my headphones in, and I would be in Chile, or like I would be in like Buenos Aires, like on a mountain range, and that increases astral communication by using your mind's eye. That's great training. Being in another place for an hour than you actually are can be a very spiritual experience, and it can be a great training experience. All right. Anything else about exercise? It's good for processing. It's good for circulation, transmutation. It makes you stronger. The stronger you feel and the more self-confident you are, the stronger your spells and your workings are going to be. The harder it's going to be for other people to cast against you. Moving on. Okay. Another good habit that I've noticed, and this seems contradictory at first to the last video, but hear me out. Actually talking to other people. And I don't just mean magically. This is sort of a two-parter. Talk to other practitioners so that you are reminded that your ways aren't the only ways, and that you're not the only one or the best one. That can be very beneficial, but also talking to others about things other than magic. Find your craft, whatever it is, welding, dentistry, find your craft in another craft elsewhere. Use other lenses to look at your own craft as well. This will extract and extrude your craft. That will extract gold, and it will extrude your craft to be more than it was before. We're getting a little bit long in this video, but that's okay. Talking to others. If I'm a practitioner that didn't already work with the warp and the weave, so to speak, and I were to talk to a seamstress, or I don't know, a warpstress, a weaver, and she was talking about how she takes something from over here and something from over here, and she weaves them together into a certain shape. That is a very great description of what is happening in certain forms of like Galder, and Sather, and very any sort of shamanic thing definitely that I have experienced has represented strings and weaves, and that might be an internal thing, but I've definitely noticed bringing multiple things together into a singular thing as a theme. And this is just one example. If I were to talk to someone who is a jewelry maker, they could talk about how the silver tarnishes and how it oxidizes and how it needs to be cleaned, but the gold, right? The gold doesn't tarnish. The gold doesn't oxidize. We could talk about metallurgy, right? And different temperates and different temperatures. Yeah, so find your craft elsewhere. Now, the other thing that I've noticed that is a good habit or indicator that someone is alive in their practice is that they are doing multiple levels of practice. So they're not just lighting candles and praying every day. That's fine if that's what you do. But what about if you were also to do some energy work? What if you were also to do some imaginatory work? People who use all of themselves are more grounded, they're more centered, they're more balanced. Then we have, what else? Energy work, astral work. And if you are only doing energy work and astral work, try maybe writing some incantations. Try making some sigils. Try writing a story. Try doing some asana or yogic positions, even if it's like runic yoga, using the runes, like the Elder Futhark runes. Do some exercise. Do some meditation. Make sure you're using all of yourself. You don't buy a house and then just say, well, I don't need the kitchen because like I can chop vegetables on the bottom of my keyboard. Anyway, the last thing that I would recommend, and is probably the most important, it's the most ignored and the most important. That's part of why it's the most important, but it's also not why. Keeping a journal. I kept 5 journals at one point. One of them was an astrological journal. And I felt that, and it was more of an astronomy journal really than an astrology journal. I was just keeping track of where the planets were and their conjunctions and their squares and their trines and all of that stuff. And I found that I didn't need to be doing that every single day. So I started doing it once a week, and then I started doing it once a month, and now it's been 2 or 3 years. I at least recommend keeping a daily practice log and a dream log. If you only keep 2 journals, keep track of your workings and keep track of your dreams. I can't even explain how important this is. And it's not just, have I done this or not? Or it's also about looking back a couple years and saying, man, I've really progressed. And this is why, because I started doing this. Or, wow, I forgot I used to do that. I want to start doing that again. It can be very beneficial to reflect and to project. And the counseling and part of, and a version of some of the counseling that I give, there's one type that is literally, they reflect on what they've done over the last week, and then they project on what they want to do over the next week. And it is such a powerful thing to be able to do that. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below, and be well until next time. Take care.